G'day everyone, it's Matt Rard here from the eBusiness Institute, where we teach people how to buy and build websites for income. And what I'm really excited about today is our very special guest, Joshua, because he's one of our digital investor students, and he's recently sold a website on Flippa for $23,000 that he built from scratch. Just started it 3 years ago. So what I want to do is get Joshua's story out. And also there's some really inspirational lessons in here. If you're looking maybe to quit your job, or you're wondering about how does this work, how can this work, getting online, earning money online, buying sites, building sites. So what I want to do is hear Joshua's experience. And welcome, Joshua. Thanks so much for coming aboard.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on. And I'm very excited to have you on, Joshua, because you've done one of my favorite strategies at the moment. So as you know, in the Digital Investor Program, we teach not only how to buy websites, but also how to build websites from scratch and sell them. Now, you've just done the dream one, which is started it from zero in a passion site that you love, and you've sold it for a really high price, or a very, very nice price, $23,000. So do you want to tell us, what was the site about?
Yeah, so the site was all about jet skis. It covered a lot of content about jet ski accessories, where to go jet ski riding, where to hire a jet ski, and things you should know. So it was a passion site of mine, which I started before owning a jet ski, in order for myself to learn more about jet skis. And then that way, as I went to bought my jet ski, I'd actually have an income stream to sort of pay off the jet ski.
Yeah. And so, and with this site, because Joshua, we'll talk about your actual background here in a minute, but there's a lot of beginners listening today who maybe have never done this before. Do you want to explain how the website actually makes money? Because it's about jet skis. It doesn't sell physical jet skis, does it?
No, it doesn't. No. So it's the two primary ways it made money was just putting ads on the site through Zoic and using Amazon Associates links. It also had a little bit of lead generation revenue, but the easiest ones, affiliate links to Amazon and just ads.
So basically, if someone read an article on your website, they click on one of those links and they get sent over to Amazon. If they buy that product on Amazon, you get an affiliate commission. Correct,
yes.
And what sort of products were you recommending? Like, were you recommending full big jet skis? Because that'd be a nice affiliate commission, but I'm presuming it wasn't. What sort of products did you generally recommend on there?
Yeah, that would be nice to sell jet skis and get those big commissions, but that's not possible because of the nature of that business model. But I sold a lot of life jackets, GPS devices, and VHF radios.
That's cool. So I really like how you've started this out. This is why I wanted to get, this is perfect. This is why I wanted to get you here today. This is a passion site. You're into these big, giant jet skis, but you thought, okay, I can't make money off the jet ski itself, but I can do the peripheries around it and build all this content that's useful content. And when people click on there or click on an ad, you get paid. That's how you make money. Now, with that model, content is super important, isn't it? So you're passionate about this, but you're still learning about the topic. But typically, to give a gauge of how big this site was, how much traffic was coming each month to the website?
Yeah, so in the off season, it go down to 10 to 12,000 page views a month. I'd say the off season is like winter in the US, but Australia would be summer, so it wouldn't bottom out. But then in the higher season, which was June, July in the US, the summer was around the 20,000 mark.
Awesome. So, mate, well done. So you started from zero traffic and you built this thing up, and I'm presuming you saw the traffic go exponential. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it just, for the first 6 months, it just sort of just sat flat, maybe a tiny bits of traffic, and then whoompa, off she went. Once Google realized what my site's about, and I had enough content to drive that traffic in.
Awesome. And what sort of money was it making, Joshua?
Average 500 to 600 a month, sometimes 700 a month. Yeah.
That's not, because I noticed, I think you were telling me the last month it just hit it because the season's about to start. It hit $700 in the month. So that's in the top. And I'm presuming if you'd kept the site, obviously it's going to keep growing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So originally I was going to keep the site over this summer period and then sell it once I had even more revenue and, sort of drive up that multiple. But I came to realize that, well, a sophisticated buyer who's looking to buy the site wouldn't want to buy an asset that's just about to drop because of a seasonal change.
Yes.
So the buyers now bought a site that's about to actually take off even more than what it did last year over the summer period because there's more content.
Yeah. So whilst I think that's one of the reasons too why you're able to get such a high multiple. Whilst it looks like a high multiple, it's a win-win for you and the buyer. They've bought themselves a site that's about to boom even more over the summer. So it's kind of a no-brainer deal for both of you, really.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I should mention here too, I'm sure you're pretty happy with the sale process because it was one of our own personally trained by me, and that's Joe Burrell.
Yes.
And you've met Joe lots of times at our events and things like that. So he was the broker that operated for you, didn't he? And you sold it through the Flippa platform.
Yeah. Originally, I was thinking to do Empire Flippers or Flipper myself, but Joe just took off all the stress out of it because I had someone that I could ask questions. He was talking to the buyers, but not too much because, he fills out those listings so well that there's not too much that people need to ask, and they can do a bit of their own research too on the site and go from there.
And I mean, the proof's in the pudding, as they say. Look at the result he got you. It was a really good result. And I know in our community, it was very heavily watched. We helped email out about it too a lot. And we had lots of people saying to us, oh, we're interested in Joshua's site and we want to buy it and everything. And it reminds me of, you remember a number of years ago, we saw Nathan and Alexa. They did the same thing. Their site that they were learning on at the time, they sold for around the same price, $17,000, and they sold that through Joe as well. It's very similar multiple to what you've done. And so really well done there. So Joshua, there's going to be a few questions here, mate, because this is something that I want people to realize as well. You're not an actual beginner online, are you? You're quite different to most of our students on the Digital Investor Program. Do you want to give us a bit of a background there too? What's your experience online?
Yeah, sure. So I actually studied IT at uni and I dropped out because I'm actually not that technical. And I went in the mining industry for 6 years, but I was always looking for a way to get out. And in your early 20s, you tend to look for a lot of shiny objects. I did buy a course in this industry maybe around 12 years ago. And the course was good, but I just jumped around too much. But I'd followed you guys and your journey for the last few years, and I then came on board with a course eventually. And I've started to take, ever since starting Jet Ski Advice, just took this so seriously, pumped out all my own content. Like there's no outsourcing. So the profit margin on that is remarkably good. So it's good.
So we'll come to that in a minute.
Yeah.
What I'm interested, remind me again, because we've known you personally, we've known you for a couple of years now because you were more advanced. Liz and I had a chat to you before we let you on the program, basically, because we don't normally allow people as advanced as you. So just so everyone knows, and those of you who are more advanced listening to this, Joshua's been doing this for 10 years. But what did you do in the mining game? What were you? Were you like Chris Denham? Are you on remote stuff or?
Yeah, I was fly in, fly out for 6 years. I worked out in the middle of nowhere. I get very dirty. I do a lot of field work. Also do some of the sort of Homer Simpson in the control room sort of work. But earned great money, but I was not happy at all. So I was looking for a way to get out and create an income stream that was, I didn't want something that was more customer service focused or where I'd have phone calls and that sort of thing. I just wanted something, and that's why I came to love the content site model. But when I was so young, I was like, you can't stay focused. But now I just got serious, I got focused, and I just kept pushing forward, even though it's, the first 6 months, nothing really happens. I just kept, pushing forward, and eventually the site took off and I kept moving after that. Yeah.
Mate, it's good to know your background because just so you know, we have lots of, and I think you would have met them at our 3-day workshops, FIFOs because here in Australia, anyone listening from overseas, we've had this big mining boom. FIFO means fly in, fly out. So you typically work, what did you work? 1 week on, 1 week off?
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, we've got a number of members. You can see our interview with Chris, who did exactly, he was on oil rigs. As you know, very highly paid, but quite a stressful way to live your life.
Yeah.
And you're a young guy, you could do it because, you know, you've had a family and all that sort of stuff. So now coming online, this is really interesting actually, because I know a little bit about your personal journey. When you quit that high paying role and you started to figure out, so you're kind of figuring out how to make money online and stuff, you went off traveling the world and stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah, yep. So I left mining. I had enough money to sort of sustain us for 6 to 12 months.
Okay, yeah.
And back then I actually came across you guys back then too. But again, I didn't have the patience to go out and create these content sites. I didn't have the maturity, and but I should have, in hindsight, should have bought the course then. I think I would have been a lot further along than I am today. But yeah, then we had a child, and then I went into warehousing and logistics for 4 years. And then eventually through affiliate marketing, building content sites, I was able to quit my job. I did a bit of e-commerce as well. That really helped.
We should mention that. What did you think of that? Because we don't teach e-commerce websites at all. But what's your experience? Did you enjoy doing that online? Was that a good, valuable part of your journey? Or
yeah. E-commerce is a great model in that you can be earning an income stream sooner than content sites. The only drawback is you need a lot of money and there's more risk involved. If you're selling on Amazon or eBay, you don't own the asset, right? Despite the fact that these FBA businesses are getting a lot of good multiples too, they're actually harder to run. You need to put up lots of money. You'll cash the repayment on that investment. Obviously, it's going to be locked in for quite some time. Whereas you can just start with content sites much more sooner. So I've done well in e-commerce. I don't do e-commerce at the moment. I've stopped for the last couple of years.
Good, Joshua, you've seen the light. You come over to our side. All right. I like it. That is because now looking at what you do, this is what I'm really excited about, because you're so advanced. More advanced than new people who are coming onto our course, and you see them in our private Facebook page and everything. Share with us, what's your portfolio look like these days? So you're fully absorbed in content sites. What's your portfolio look like these days?
Yep. I live and breathe this stuff nonstop. Love it. And I create all my own content. I've now got, I would say, at least 20 sites. I don't want to admit how many sites I've got because it gets a bit silly, but 20 sites at least. Of those, 7 are actually making money. The other 3 are in various parts of seeding. I like to seed sites and then just wait 6 months and then go back and work on them. Because of that period it takes for Google to pick you up and the traffic to take off. So I've got some sites that most of my sites I'm looking to do the same formula where it's start, scale, and then eventually exit, Flippa and buy flippers and the like. So I've got one I'm working on that I'm looking to do a 6-figure exit on in the next sort of 12 to 18 months.
Yep, I know about that site. I've had a look. It's a very, very good site. And so your strategy, and I want to be clear for everyone, Joshua's not buying any sites, even though he knows how to do it. And that's not what he came on our course for. It's more the content strategy and how do you say? Start it, build it, scale it, and then sell it off for, 5 or 6 figures, and you build a portfolio over time. So you're going to have 20 of these going. So that all starts to compound. And I know you love the interviews that we did with Ewan, who does that at big scale, doesn't he? He launches 30 at a time and he's raised millions. And I know, a lot of people in our community love Ewan's strategy, and it's working really well in his current marketplace as well. Would you agree with that? Is that what you're finding across your 20 sites? Here's an interesting question for you. So, you're not at Ewan's scale because he's got massive big teams behind him, but for you working solo from home, off your laptop, are you finding this strategy now really kicking in quite nicely in the current marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. It compounds over time, so it's very slow to get going, but the more you stick at it, the better it gets. And I'm seeing still a lot of opportunity for keywords. A lot of stuff's quite easy to rank for. Provided you do the research. And I think if you're going to go out there in the market and, do $5 articles like used to be done 10 years ago,
Yeah.
it's not going to work out too well. If
No.
you go and do the research, you might outsource, but then add a bit of your own spin into the content as well. It's going to do quite well. And you know, there's a lot of buyers out here. There's a lot more buyers than there are sellers. It's a seller's market.
That is brilliant. Joshua, you have no idea. Any of my personal coaching clients, I hope you listen to what Joshua just said. That is awesome, because on that note, in terms of content, it's really, really cool. If you make that proper investment into good content, you will get the results. That's what you're finding now. And I want to look at, you do, and you've mentioned it already, you do something quite different to even what we teach, which is you create all the content yourself. Now, okay, so this is not what I'm recommending any of our clients who are listing, but devil's advocate here. We've got to hear every side of the story. And guys, you're listening to someone, Joshua, who's incredibly successful with this, doing all of this himself. So you're obviously a good writer, Joshua, and you love it. And I notice you pick niches and websites, because I know quite a number of your sites. You pick niches that you're absolutely passionate about. To give us an idea of what it takes, let's look back at the site you just sold for $23,000, right? You've built that from scratch yourself. What sort of hours do you put into that yourself, and how have you structured that over the last 2 or 3 years? How's that work when you're creating all this content yourself? Because I would imagine it sounds like a lot of work to me, but I want to get a for anyone listening, I want to get a gauge of what does it actually take if you write all the content yourself?
Yeah. So in total, I tracked it as close as I could, but it was about 200 hours of my own time into the site. That mostly was creating the content, obviously a little bit of website design, which is pretty straightforward to do, but the content took up the bulk of the time. 200 hours sounds like a lot of time, but I batched a lot of this, and 200 hours over 2 years is about 2 hours a week. All right. When you average it all out like that, it's not that much, but I would batch it. So I would spend maybe 20 hours 1 week on it and leave it for a few weeks, come back another 10 hours, a few more articles, pump them out. There was a 6-month period where I did nothing on the site. I just worked on other sites, but it just went up. Yeah.
So the cool thing, Joshua, too, it's obvious to me and you, but we've got a lot of corporate people listening to this as well. You need to realize, guys, I hope you heard what Joshua just said. You don't have to work on websites non-stop. It's not like you have to turn up every day to work on this or anything like that. So you can patch it. Your life gets in the way, kids, family, whatever. Other websites, Joshua, take your interest. So typically you would at times, like you said, you'd park that site for even 6 months and then come back to it and work on it.
Yeah. Nowadays, what I'm doing is more so I will spend an entire month on a site. Like my real passion one at the moment is a site about sailing. My dream is to sail around the world. So I'm super passionate about this. I've just hit 110 articles. I've done 3 articles already this morning. I've got another 2 to do this afternoon, and just love this site so much. But yeah, I batch it now. I used to do like a few days, or I didn't have a plan, but now I've got a succinct plan. I am from the end of May. I finished working this site. I'm not allowed to touch it till next year. So
there you go.
I ban myself from going back on sites. Because I have to work on another site that I'm seeding and building that up. So yeah. That's
a little bit like what Ewan shared with us all at one of our events as well. Yeah. He batches it as well, where this is the gentleman that builds lots and lots of sites from scratch. Exact same thing. We'll work on it really intensely for like a month, and then literally, he said he outright leaves it for a year. And that's what we did in the last interview, which I know you enjoyed as well. He gave us an update of how it's all gone, and not every site worked that well, but some just went through the roof. And so that it's cool. You can literally park these websites. And I don't think, your average person in the street realizes how passive websites, or semi-passive websites work, that you can literally do a whole batch of work on them and then park them. So it's a really good lesson. And it's cool to hear it from you, because you're doing and seeing the results now. So is that like your other site are you happy to mention, because I just want to give people an idea of like your passion niches. The other site that you were talking to me earlier, you're looking at selling that for 6 figures next year through one of the brokers. You're happy to say what niche that's in?
Yeah. So it's in the motorcycle niche.
Yeah. So it's very similar to the jet ski. So I'm presuming you're following the same process. Just
yeah, I have a affinity for the outdoors niches.
Yeah.
Stuff I do myself. So it's very easy to create content on. There's also a very wide audience there. Sort of, I want to make sure I can get as many people to the site as possible.
Yeah. So that's why you're thinking that one's going to be a lot bigger than, say, the jet ski, because jet ski niche is somewhat more niched than motorbikes. You're finding you can go quite broad with.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it monetized the same way? AdSense or Zoic, and then affiliate offers. But obviously you're not getting affiliate commissions on motorbikes. It's all the periphery equipment around it.
Yeah. So, again, it's the same thing. I'm doing sailing GPSs, sailing life jackets.
On the sailing one?
Yeah. So it's quite similar. Obviously, there's different gear that sailors use.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I might do some lead generation on the site, but I want to try and keep it as passive as possible. So it's probably eventually I think this is going to go to a more jet ski advice got up to the 20,000 a month mark last year in the height of summer. I think the sailing one is going to go more like 100,000. So I'm going to go to Mediavine or Ad5 down the track, and then the RPMs are really going to come up.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think you'll do really well. And similarly with the motorbike one, you know, because you've got that same broad range. Had you do reviews of helmets and gloves and stuff like that?
Just the roundup reviews do quite well. I find them as a writer quite difficult to write because they're not a sort of something you can just pump out on the spot. It has to be really well researched. So I might spend 5 to 6 hours on that article, but the article is very well paying if you pick a really good topic to write about.
Done once, done forever, as our mentor said to us many years ago. It's like writing a book. One article on your blog, once it starts ranking, can generate tens of thousands of visitors for the next 5 years. It's a pretty phenomenal ROI, even if you're writing them yourself, Joshua. Now, can I just say something? As a coach, I'm not 100% sure that you should be writing. Or you do realize, don't you, you could jump on the Upwork and there are a multitude of seriously talented individuals who can help you leverage this for the sake of $30 to $50 for good articles, which if they rank, that's worth every last cent. That's what you are such an anomaly in our community. Everyone else, outsources on like Upwork or Freelancer or whatever. I mean, you've got to stick to what you're good at and what you're comfortable with, though. It's obviously working really well for you, isn't it? And you personally enjoy this too, I take it.
Yeah, I've written over 2,000 articles. So I think that answers your question right now.
But where did you learn? Were you good at writing at school or at English? Like, you worked in the mines.
I struggled at school. The best thing I ever did was actually English, but I still only got a 7 out of 10. So, I'm actually.
You're basically. You realise you're basically a writer. You're your own publisher.
Correct, but I never took a writing course or anything like that.
Wow.
I've outsourced some articles on other sites. I've probably outsourced 100 articles in my journey. I've outsourced to agencies, which do quite well, but it costs quite a bit of money. I've also outsourced to, I guess, second tier countries that don't do quite well. But also with some inexperience, what I find is that if I'm not giving the right instructions, it's like input in, input out, right? And so I sort of take the blame for not having the experience or the know-how or sort of what to give the writer so that they can produce a really good quality piece that actually ranks and gets traffic in it and helps boost the site up.
Yeah, okay. That is cool. It is just so very different, isn't it? Because what was it you said to me? You noticed on our Digital Investor, the private Facebook page, people were asking, does anyone here write their own content and what's it like? Well, guys, here's Joshua, living, breathing, doing it. You've just seen the result he got on Flippa, and you've heard at least 2 of his other sites are going to sell for 6 figures somewhere in the next year or so. So public accountability for you, Joshua. We're expecting you to jump up at our 3-day workshop and say, I sold my motorbike site for 6 figers or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yes. A few people have reached out to me to get them for me to write on their sites, and I've been paid very well for those articles.
Yeah.
like 20 cents a word sort of pay. Yeah, and when
Nice.
it's
So you think about where you were, say, when you first started this, when you were living the laptop lifestyle, traveling around the world. That's not a bad second income for you while you're traveling around. If you're a young guy, because you still are a young guy. You're half my age, but you think of the young people listening to this as well. If they're, as a lot of them want to do the laptop lifestyle thing. That's another skill which I didn't think of, because for me, getting online, for me personally, I actually failed English at school. So it's never been a consideration that I could ever write articles. So to meet someone, a legend like you, you're like Liz, you can just write Liz, she's a really good writer too. But that's another secondary skill or income generator you can have now if, for young people getting out there wanting to travel around once they've got these skills. Hey, and another question I wanted to ask, just something a little odd that it's just caught my eye on your listing. When you sold the jet ski site, another little niche monetization you found was selling direct leads. Can you mention what they were? Because they're quite niche. They weren't leads for jet skis.
No. So I saw in Hrefs that there was a bit of interest in people wanting to start a jet ski rental business, particularly during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And a little bit of traffic. And I thought I would create an article about that. Just with obviously I hadn't started a jet ski rental business, but I talked to a couple of people who had, and then I also compiled some extra research and things to be mindful of when you're starting out. That article became the #1 article on the website out of nowhere, with over 2,000 page views a month on that article.
Cool.
And so if someone's looking to start a jet ski rental business, one of the things that they're going to want is insurance quotes, because that's very important. So I reached out and I hunted around for a company that would insure these future business owners, and said, hey, look, I've got the site. Do you have a deal? And so, they had an affiliate program or lead generation. And so it was just set on an account. 10 minutes later, I had links on the site. So,
man, that's so cool. So that you can think outside of the square for monetizing these content sites. It's selling direct leads as well. You'll be able to do that with the sailing side and the motorbike side, I would think too.
Yeah, yep. I think the sailing site might also open itself up to the travel market, people that want to charter a yacht.
Totally. It could be huge. If you get massive traffic in that niche, I think you could, with travel now opening up again, and that's a booming niche. It's a very popular evergreen niche as well. Totally. There will be private companies that will pay for leads there because you're going to have the traffic.
Exactly right. Yeah.
That is super cool. So for most of your sites, here's a question for you. How do you get the ideas to start these 20 sites? Just, let's throw it out there. What sort of ideas in general? Is it just purely from topics you're interested in?
Yeah, topics I'm interested in, but also I just go outside and look what people are doing. Right? If people are doing it, then there's potential there. Then what I like to do is, if I want to validate a niche, I go and look if there's YouTubers talking about this thing, if there's a lot of subscribers, if there's Reddit subreddits, if there's Facebook groups, if there's magazines on the shelf in a news agency, that's a telltale sign that there is an audience there that wants to be served.
And that's a big one that we teach as well. We always go and look in especially in this day and age, there's hardly any magazines. First started online, Liz and I, that's how we used to do it. We just back then there was lots of magazines in lots of passion topics. And we just literally go down to the local news agency and just spend half an hour, and we'd buy up all these different magazines and different hobbies and stuff and take them home and read them and go, you know what, there's someone making money in this niche. We can do a website in this space. And I think that's a really smart strategy to do even in this stage, particularly now, because magazines, there's only half of them left now, but any that are left, obviously there's money in that niche. That's a really good starting point. That is a super cool way of doing it.
Exactly. And I think today we are the magazine, but we're not tied up with having to have distribution agreements. The accessibility here is so easy. Go and start a domain, GoDaddy, $20, hosting your account, $10 a month, and just go.
Yep. And now you're the publisher. You're an online publisher,
Exactly.
really. And you in particular, like you're not only that, you're an online journalist as well. Like you're the whole team. And I take it, so on your team, it's just you, because we should mention, where do you live? You got to give a shout out for God's country up here.
Yes, the Sunshine Coast, place to be, right? Queensland in general, right?
Queensland, but Sunshine Coast in particular. How far are you from the beach, Joshua?
5 minutes.
About 5 minutes, mate. You're living the dream up there. So how big's your team that you've got to run these 20 odd sites?
It's just myself. I seed some sites. I focus on some other sites. I always look at new ideas. I have that compulsive, shiny object syndrome still to this day. I like to start new sites, but hey, it's in the right direction. So yeah.
And I take it, and obviously you just love what you do. So this is unique as well, Joshua. You do all this stuff yourself because you are more advanced. I do want to point that out to everyone. Joshua has technical skills now, and you heard at uni he studied IT as well before he worked in the mines.
Yeah.
But you keep it very simple though on your websites. There's no full on. It's just WordPress, isn't it? It's very standard layouts that you use.
Yep, it's just straight into WordPress. I just use Excel to build out a very basic content plan.
Yep,
I just use Hrefs to look at what keywords I should rank for, and to look at some other sites already in the niche and what they're going for.
Yep.
And then I just go.
And then you go for it.
Yeah.
And there's a team of one living on the 5 minutes from the beach on the sunshine. You're going to make a lot of people jealous listening to this. They're just going, oh, well, hopefully, actually, I'm going to flip it around. I'm hoping from this interview, this is super cool, that you've actually just inspired a whole stack of people, particularly younger people as well, who are thinking, where do I head in life, through to our members who are trying to get out of their corporate roles and realizing, wow, this is another way I can do it. I can build my own content sites. Hats off to you. It's really cool. So I do want to say a very big thank you for coming along today to share your personal experience. I know you don't normally give interviews like this and stuff, but I had to reach out and grab you. And also, I think it's Joshua. It's a watch this space. So I can't wait to see you at our next 3-day workshop. Up there bragging about your next 6-figure website sale when you do it with one of your websites.
Yes.
But and also obviously a big congratulations on the success with your websites. Thank you so much. About what Josh has done and the sort of strategies he's following. Obviously, sign up for our masterclass, and we go through exactly the strategy that Joshua is doing, and also maybe consider joining our digital investor program as well. And you can be doing the same sort of things as what Joshua is doing there. But also, while you're at it, if you're inspired by these stories, check out some of our other interviews, like with Nathan and Alexa. They've done a very similar thing to you as well. And say like Chris, who was the FIFO oil worker, he now does the same thing, building these portfolio sites from scratch. It's a really great space to be in the current market, and it's a slower burn strategy, building these sites from scratch, but definitely a very smart strategy, very low risk. You can do it part-time while you're exiting your job. And but although Joshua, as you heard, has been doing this full-time for quite a long time now. But mate, thanks so much for coming along today. It was awesome.
No worries. Thanks, Matt. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.